All right, now what we're going to be doing is the extensions. This is the bond. All right, put it in the ring, one drop. Okay, and after that you must cover it immediately. Make sure there's no residue above it, because it can adhere to the cap and you will be screwed because you won't be able to open up your bottle. All right, don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so we have here the base of the jelly sculpt on my hand there, and I went ahead and placed it on my finger to make it easier for me, because when you do actually with a client, then you can use this palette right here when you wear it. But since I'm doing it on myself, holding the palette in my hand will actually block me from doing my work. So, okay, so let's go ahead and start this off. So when you get each hair, okay, you want to make sure it's just one. Sometimes what I do, I have to hit it twice here and make sure it's just one. And yes, that is one. Whoops, actually two. See, you never know until there's two. All right, and then what you want to do, you want to layer it in the area. But when you put in adhesive, you want to dip it in there like half a millimeter, and then take it out. Make sure there's no adhesive that you can see on it. And then after that, you would start with the top. Just lay it and then drop it. Okay, oops, let me make sure it's clear. Okay, then we grab this one. You grab it from the tip. Okay, place in the adhesive. Okay, just the ends. Okay, and then drop it. Okay, then I go ahead again. This is for people, let's say they don't have hair. Okay, people with no hair is actually more time consuming opposed to people who have hair, because with the people who have hair you can play with it. But see, this right here looks pretty thick, so I know definitely there's two hairs. You never want to adhere two hairs together or it'll just look too thick and then it won't look natural. All right, so I do the first row. So I put row by row. So I do the first top row here, then the next row, the next row. But when I put in the next row, I do it on the not opposite, but what's that word? Like a pattern, up down pattern. See how fast this actually is to place it on. Once you get the hang of it, it's easier. And I push it down so that I get that one. Okay. This is 10 times easier than eyelash extensions, because eyelash extensions, the person needs hair, and you need to adhere each hair extension to each natural hair 1 millimeter away from the eye. And if they don't have hair, then you can't put the lashes. This is awesome because if they don't have brows, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you put the gel sculpting down as a base, and then you can apply it, and it won't fall off immediately. That's the difference between normal eyebrow extensions and the jelly sculpt that we have here. Because some people may think, oh, I do eyebrow extensions, but do you do the Jellybond 3D sculpt? That makes a difference, because if you adhere normal brow extensions and bonding it to the skin, that will not last. That will probably just last, if you're lucky, a day or two. Okay, and then it'll fall off. But with this magical formula of the Jellybond, enables it to last up to 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, and make it waterproof, water resistant, whatever you want to say. Okay, and manageable. You can brush through it and everything. And of course, naturally, it's going to start falling off one by one. Right, so nothing is perfect in the world. So, but if you take care of it, if you don't sleep on it, if you don't rub it, you're good. Okay, but as you can see how simple it is, how I put it on. And let's say if there was a hair there, I put it between the hairs. Okay, because you want to make it look as natural as possible, and you want to go the direction of the hair. All right, oops, see that one there moving there? Because you'll be able to brush it too. Okay, but it has that 3D look. Oops, there we go. Okay. And then you may just want to tap it down the bottom, sometimes with the bottom base. Okay. Don't put too much adhesive. It's good enough, just that little dip right there. As you see, I'm putting it in between the hairs. Not on top of the hairs, in between. Okay, right now I'm just pushing it down to that it lets go. Have one. Okay. See, as you see, I'm building the 3D brows. And once again, you can't do this with normal, regular brow extensions and brow glue. You need the gel sculpting, Jellybond gel sculpting, to make it last and look very natural. Okay. Look at that, looks like hair already. It's going out of my hand. Crazy, right? And also the base makes it look a little bit fuller on the skin area. Okay, you can just keep it like straight bulb, or you can cut it to make it rounder. Up to you. At the very end when you're complete. Just don't forget that how you're doing it. Look, I'm going to start turning it because I want it to look as natural as possible, because normally that area of the brow, okay, the ridge, is actually going to be flowing this way and where the tail is. But you have, once again, you have to follow the person's eyebrow hair direction if they do have hair there, because the last thing you want is to look fake by going against the hair. All right, it has to flow together in order for it to look natural. So you can't put it in your hand here, but just make sure you clean it with the mist and the exfoliant. So when you're practicing on your hand, it will last and it's not going to be oily. You know, some people have oily fingers, oily hands. Okay, and then look, you just overlap it. Look at that. It's just staying, yeah, looking more natural as we go. Okay. Never put your tweezer though in the adhesive, because that's when your tweezers will start sticking together and then you can't open them up and then you're going to have damaged tweezers. Just only a quarter of a millimeter. Look, not even that much. You know, but notice how I'm migrating it to the side there. All right, for some of you it may take a little bit longer. Some of you might be quicker. Everyone's different, but see, I put it underneath the hair. I'm going underneath hairs now to create that layering effect. See, I'm going inside, underneath. That's so cool. Look at that. And then I go in between. Remember, later on you can cut it if you want to. But if you become a pro, you don't have to cut anything. You'll just be able to just place them down and have your clients in and out. See a little gap right there? Just fill it with a hair. There's a little gap right there too, I see. You can just come back to it later on at the end and fill in the little missing areas. Okay? And again, just keep turning and turning, making it look as natural as possible. Layering it up so that, make sure it's one, layering it up inside. Just look at people's natural eyebrow hairs. Look at them in person, look at magazines, and it'll help you understand the dynamics of the hair flow. There's generally an average, there's generally about 4 or 5 types of brows that flow a certain way, or sometimes there's a mixture of them. That's what we train in microblading class. All right, look at this. Isn't it crazy? So sometimes you can do 2. If you're a pro like me, you know, you can do 2 at the same time, but you cannot let it bind up like that. See, that's the problem, because if they do bind up like that, then you're in trouble because it's not going to look real. So you have 2 at a time.